everyone, I'm Tze Toh, Artistic Director and Composer of this event, SHEA Art and Science Project.
Hello, I'm Alba Escayo and I'm the visual artist who created the images for this animated movie.
I'm a composer for film, contemporary dance, commercials, animations, documentaries, and video games. I also create original brand experiences, bringing together different disciplines. I've always loved the idea of collaborations.
I'm a visual artist. I'm based in Madrid and I mainly work on painting, but also on sculpture, photography, installation, and animation, like in this case. I love multidisciplinary projects where I can learn and experiment in between disciplines.
Throughout the history of humanity, artistic expression has always helped shape human societies, move and connected us as human beings. It has allowed us to realize the human potential, dream, and get a sense of possibilities of the future. This was an exciting and at the same time challenging collaboration for us.
This project for us, it's a really incredible coming together of people from very different fields, as engineers, scientists, artists, musicians, composers, and much more.
We have created this video work that brings together art, science, and music, titled The Symphony of Life. It tells the story of our planet through a song of a million different heartbeats over a period of 300,000 years. What better way to express knowledge, data, than through the human intuition, our ability to create through art and music?
We both love nature, so we believe through our art we can express better the important questions that our planet faces now.
And now, we would like to share with you about this wonderful project.
Hi everyone, I'm a visual artist, I'm a painter, and here is where I work every day. And also here is where I create all the images for SHEA's project, because we really wanted from the very beginning that would be a truly artistic project. So we use paper works on canvas, and real stop motions footage, and after we put all together in computer and we edit them.
So this is my studio, and it was very beautiful experience because my paintings were interacting with SHEA's drawings and opposite. My work all those past years is so related with the ocean, the landscape, energy, main interaction with nature, and of course I'm concerned about the future of our planet, and I try to reflect it in my art. So the images you can see in the video are all original drawings, made mainly on watercolor and digitalized after. This was a challenging project and I'm so happy I did work with Tze. Our conversations were so long and we did produce many images and music until we finally got the best way to tell the story. We didn't want images with music, we wanted music and painting being complementary and telling the symphony of life as one. By choice, we didn't want it so realistic images, and usually my medium for this kind of work is water, because the flow of the water helps you to just let it go, have that freshness of nature. Nature is perfect. I don't see sense just reproducing that. I think the beautiful thing is when images can move you. I'm mainly abstract painting, but of course, if we wanted a seagull crossing the sky, we need to draw it frame by frame. We wanted to represent the circle of life in different ways, so you could see the seed, the plant that becomes the tree, and the flower that must die to produce the fruit, and so on. I especially like this watercolor because it was a starting point when we were looking for definition of the style in the video. This is an old work of mine, my personal kind of work that I digitalized and I animated by creating frame by frame. Also, we intentionally did choose a traditional basic animation style, not special effects, keeping things as simple as possible. Sometimes we decided just to move the camera in some significant image. For example, we did choose one of those small postcards to represent the water. I truly love to make close-ups, not just in a painting. When you look to a small plant, to a small insect, or just a drop of water, there is the immensity inside. I think it's always a good reminder to look to the small things. I do love this photo so much. It's a frame of the final stop motion that we use to talk about our future. So what I did is to ask help to my 4-year-old daughter, who is best assistant ever, and I wanted to represent the importance of the future generations. So here you can see where we were having breakfast and cutting all the pieces. We did have a lot of fun shooting. This animation is a good resume of the intention of the video and as well as of SHEA's mission. All the key elements are represented. You can see love, nature, recycling, collaboration, solutions in architecture, the importance of water, clean energies, tomato, and a lot of beautiful things that our planet contains.
So I had this idea, what if we represented all life on Earth through a symphony of a million heartbeats? So that became the key concept for this entire project. I wanted to create a basic theme, a basic melody motif, which would sustain the entire piece. So the interesting thing was, the first theme I played on the keyboard, I wasn't thinking about much. I just thought about the story I wanted to express. I went to the piano and I played this short motif. And then that basically became the main theme of the entire piece of music. Here I have the music sequencing software Logic X, which I use to compose the music. I use a digital orchestra sample sound library that allows me to create music with any instrument of the orchestra. This is the main motif I came up with at the piano. As you can hear, it's a pretty simple melody, and I went on to add simple variations of it to create this entire piano theme. So as you can hear, this complete piano theme has a few interesting characteristics. First of all, it is cyclic. I wanted to express growth and progression. The basic idea sort of repeats and then evolves, pretty much like life and nature itself. Secondly, although the time signature is in 4/4, the theme was created with a first phrase that has 6 quavers instead of the expected 8. So it creates a sort of interesting tension. The next phrase is actually 8 quavers long, followed by 6 and then 8 again and 3 more sets of 6, and so on. Life is complex, and I felt that this kind of superimposition of one meter on top of another allows the music to express this complexity and richness. And it is this asymmetry that allows us to create a sense of organic energy in the music. To me, that's what nature feels like, perfectly imperfect. So with this main theme in mind, I started to expand the ideas here to create the rest of this orchestra piece. So this is the result. As you can hear, the theme evolves in many forms, and there are many different layers of instrumentation, but we wanted to show how diverse life is, how colorful and how every living thing has a different heartbeat. There were many ideas used, the idea of representing certain elements, natural phenomena through use of certain instruments. For example, the French horn symbolized the sun. The ocean waves were represented by the sound of the harp. I think layering was a huge part of the approach in which we approached the entire project, because we think of sound layered on visuals as well as layers of sound upon sound. So if you listen carefully, you could actually hear all the different layers of rhythms I imagine of life in nature. Be it birds singing, insects, then there's rhythms of life growing in like plants, trees, flowers, rivers, bursts of life, this burst of color. You know, I really wanted to capture that through the different layers of music, different layers of instrumentations. There were a lot of discussions with Alba, about how the music and the visuals could work together, following a certain kind of rhythm, a certain kind of flow, and a certain kind of narrative where there is a quiet part and then there's a build-up, there's a climax. Like we have to agree on the shape of the narrative throughout the entire project.
Still, it's so exciting for me to see this intro. We arrived to a good solution for the beginning part at the very end of the project. Do you remember?
Yes. I think the idea was to how do we, express that beauty of the earth, but we did not want to start with something which was really realistic looking, right? That was the main thing. We spent a long time on this introduction. We were talking about how the camera should move, to give a sense of the scale and the grandeur of that beauty. And Alba and I have these discussions. I will share with her how the instruments represent the elements visually. I love the scenes involving the ocean a lot, and I love the animation you came up with, this like burst of life in the ocean.
Many things overlaying. It was our treat to tell the story with many layers, because it's so rich, life on Earth. So we couldn't do it with just one image.
I think we had a lot of discussions about the complexity of life and how we represent it, right? And we tried different things, like having one layer of image. It just doesn't work as well, didn't it? And I don't know.
The dark part, I wasn't against, because we must show the depth. The full of life, depth. But it was hard to change from the color and the happiness to the black part.
We need to have the darkness, then the light comes. It's basically birth and death, For the beginning part, I think what was really interesting, we see the first time when the cycle of life came in, we had the fishes, and then we see the sort of a visual cycle, which is, we are trying to tell the story of life in the sea. And then, of course, we see the cycle of time, right, from day to night, right? And then the rain coming in, and then life starts again, right, and day starts again, and then we have the third cycle of growth, on land. We have the trees growing. This part was really interesting. Remember, we had the conversation about how do we imply or express the idea that human intervention, it's part of the story. If everyone noticed, the human hands don't appear until the age of man. So the first part actually represents just nature on its own. It's the really dark part. The fire.
You like dark part.
I know. I like how dark and severe it sounds, because that is actually the truth. The planet is plunged into chaos and darkness in so many ways. Especially now, it's relevant because we have the wildfires, in the US. Before that, it was in Australia, and there was so much death.
We wanted to repeat the same images to not confuse the audience, just to see how they got ruined.
For example, in this case, we see the ocean being polluted before we see the animals disappearing. We agreed, like, how do we express the current situation, with the idea of life suddenly stopping. and the use of silence and just a drone to represent something we cannot see, an unseen enemy.
I think it is important that this was created during the COVID situation, just right after the hard lockdown, and we were more concerned than ever about nature, about how man interferes on it, and yeah, it was very sensitive moment of the humanity. I think it is. How nature come back to some cities because everyone was at home.
So we agreed that we will let that be silence, and then we can hear the animals, insects, and birds coming back here. Right? I really love that moment, like just right here. And the skies are blue again.
And how much hope on the singing of the bird.
And it's so interesting because the strings go for something dark to this sense of hope when life comes back again. For me, it's a magical moment. After all the planets suffer, in a way due to our actions, like how we can still make a change. And I really like this last part because I think basically this idea of hope, we can do something.
It's so magic to see my drawings with movement. It's a really beautiful experience as an artist.
Oh, this is the fun part.
Yes, we just did the animation on reverse, thinking about how to preserve the water and be respectful with it. And there are quite easy solutions. We keep it simple. We try with very free drawings in my case, and that's why we experimented to using real materials, paper cutting, the hands when the men appear. We introduced many things, trying to experiment.
So this part was challenging. We were trying to think of how do we show the world is connecting, how the world can come together through different cultures, different backgrounds, just people coming together to change things. And of course, this is the part where we express the idea that a lot of solutions to mankind's problems can be found in nature. So sure, it's a lot about getting young people to take action, to dream and design and try to build and make a reality their own future, right? And I think it's so apt that you got your daughter involved.
Well, she's always around, so
yeah. So I love this part. So what was your idea for this? Like using different pieces to
yeah, I wanted to use all the key elements, the important things for SHEA's mission, and you can see collaboration, clean energies, nature, plants, vegetables, love, solution in architecture, many things that are the things inside our beautiful planet and what we should take care of. I really like the feeling on the real paper with those shadows, and also I like we use it for the end because it's like also technically revealing how it's made. So it's nice.
So I guess that brings us to the conclusion of this behind the scenes for this animated short film, Symphony of Life, for SHEA Art and Science event. We hope you enjoy this sharing as much as me and Alba have, in putting it together for you.
Yes, it was a pleasure to work on this, and I think the most important thing is the message behind SHEA and behind our small contribution to it. And yes, be conscious about our planet and try to do our best, because every one of us, we can do a lot, small important things.
We should always believe that an action, no matter how small, makes a difference. Thank you so much once again for watching.
Thank you.